Hi everyone, it's Rachel back with the Shades of Orange, and today I'm here to bring you a spoiler-free review of Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. This is a book that I received via the July Nightworms package. This is set in the 1950s in Mexico and follows a young socialite named Noemi who is sent off by her father to go to the countryside and visit the estate of her cousin who was hastily married off after a very short courtship. Her father received a letter that was just a bit concerning from this cousin. She seems to be very unwell, possibly physically or mentally, and is making claims that her husband is possibly not treating her well. So because Noemi's father is concerned, he sends her off and she goes there to investigate. And when she arrives, she finds her cousin to be unwell, and the family that is taking care of her, her husband's family, is just very strange and odd, and you get the feeling that there is more going on. Now, this is very much a piece of classic Gothic horror, and I will admit that that is not my go-to genre, so I was a little bit hesitant to pick this book up. And I'll say that the first 2/3 of this book really do follow the classic beats of that genre. And what made the book work better for me was the fact that it had that diverse Mexican aspect to it. I definitely haven't read enough horror that is set in Mexico, written by a Mexican author, and I really did like those cultural elements sprinkled throughout the narrative. I really thought it brought more to life. I will admit that I am a Canadian white reviewer, so in terms of the Mexican elements themselves, I really can't speak as much to that, but I trust Silvia Moreno-Garcia to write a fantastic own voices story, so I have no doubts about the representation. And from my friends that are of Mexican descent, they have been able to speak more to those aspects and really enjoyed them in this book. Now, one of the best aspects of this book was the main character, Noemi. I mentioned that she is a socialite, so she really enjoys makeup and dressing up and going out. And I like the fact that despite being very feminine, she is also very smart and sassy and isn't afraid to speak her mind. And I just found it really refreshing to have a strong female character that still embraced her female side, because so often I find these stories tend to have really strong characters, but those female characters just tend to be more tomboyish and kind of rebel against their feminine interests. And so I thought it was really nice to see that she can like fancy dresses and also be a really tough woman. So absolutely love Noemi. Now, in terms of the plot itself, I won't go into any spoilers here, but I will let you know that this is the kind of Gothic horror book that will appeal to people like myself that don't necessarily like the genre, because you definitely get a different twist on those classic tropes by the end of the story, and I really did enjoy where it went. I think the author did a really good job plotting out a good story, and certainly there was a lot of foreshadowing. If you're paying attention, you should be able to pick up the clues and have an idea where the story is going. I knew partially where it was going to go, but definitely when everything was revealed, you find out what is going on. It was very satisfying for me, very enjoyable. I have heard from some of my friends that are more Gothic horror purists that they may not appreciate as much the fact that the story does stray away from that Gothic narrative towards the end, but for me, I really like this one. I'll admit that for the first 2/3 of this book, I was enjoying it, but it just didn't seem like my kind of story until we hit that twist and turn, and once the reveal happened, I was just blown away and really enjoyed this one so much more. The last third definitely is a lot more fast-paced. I would call the first 2/3 a slow burn, and you really do need to be patient with the story because it is much more character focused. This is a piece of horror, but for the most part, it's more suspenseful. There's a lot of focus on imagery and dream sequences, and personally, I'm not a huge fan of those. When it comes to horror, I do like things to be a little bit more ramped up, but there definitely are some terrifying images in this story, and depending on the kind of reader you are, if you're very visual, I think that this will appeal to you quite a bit. And it's definitely horror. A lot of people have misclassified this one as magical realism, but nope, it's horror, and it definitely deserves its place in the genre. So needless to say, I did enjoy this one. I do recommend it to a really wide audience, including those that enjoy Gothic horror and those that don't. I think that this is just a breath of fresh air in the horror genre when we are all just really seeking out more diverse stories and looking for strong female representation in our horror. this is definitely going to be one of the big buzzy books for the rest of the year. And if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely recommend you do so. And if you have already read it, I would love to hear your thoughts down below, as long as you keep them spoiler free. And thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, consider doing so and hit that button. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and hit that notification bell. I like to do reviews on the big buzzy horror books that are coming out every year, as well as talking about lesser known books, as well as science fiction and fantasy that I enjoy. Thank you all for watching. I will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.